Part 101. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1011. Wu Yu has made a great breakthrough recently. For him, defeating the divine pupil monkey Po Xiao is not a big problem. After all, Po Xiao is no longer the ability of his peak, and his current combat power is supported by the Dao Fa Yao Palace. After Wu Yu used the Fa Tian Xiang Di to shrink, the divine pupil monkey basically had no way to hit him, and Wu Yu relied on the burning heaven pillar and magical powers to defeat the divine pupil monkey at a more flexible speed and obtain the cultivation method of the withered and silenced divine pupil technique. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Before this, he had endured many attacks from the withered and silenced divine pupil technique, and had a certain understanding of the power and function of this Taoist technique, as well as its core, and had many doubts in his heart. When he got the cultivation method and read it through, many puzzles were solved. In history, those ancestors who were willing to spend more than 30 years, or even hundreds of years, to create a Taoist art were really great. It is because of them that there are so many Taoist arts in the world today, and the current Taoist practitioners basically do not have the patience to spend a lot of time to create their own Taoist arts. After all, in this era, if you want to learn a Taoist art, you can basically find it as long as you think of it. For countless years, although there are few creators, over time, Taoist arts will be endless. This is still based on the fact that countless Taoist arts have been lost in the process of being passed down. Wu Yu has indeed not seen anyone who is willing to spend decades, even hundreds of years, to create a new Taoist art. In fact, creating a Taoist art, especially a top-level one, should allow one's realm to make great progress by leaps and bounds. It can also benefit future generations, allowing them to understand the Tao of their predecessors just like learning a magic array. Of course, creating a magic array is the same as creating a Taoist art. Wu Yu's attainments in both Taoist art and magic array are relatively high now, but he always feels that there is still a distance before he can create it himself. He thinks that maybe in the future, he really needs to jump out of the framework of others and form a Taoist art or magic array that truly belongs to him. Next, he plans to spend a lot of time on magic arrays. Understanding Tao through magic arrays is also the best method. Although it consumes time, it will have a fairly solid foundation. Withered and silenced divine eye technique. He sat cross-legged in this Taoist magic demon hall, recalling the appearance of the divine eye monkey when he performed it, and imagined the scene of this respectable predecessor creating this Taoist art. When Wu Yu felt the same way and imagined himself as him, he could better understand what he was thinking when he created this magic and what kind of magic he wanted to create. This was of great help to him in understanding the Book of Exhaustion Divine Power. Moreover, Wu Yu was not in a hurry at all. He had a lot of time and could even spend at least 2 months here. When time passed in this magic demon hall, after nearly 2 months, only 10 days had passed outside. There was still some time before the pilgrimage of all nations. However, at this time, Wu Yu relied on the advantage of time and concentrated on practicing, and he had almost mastered the desolate divine pupil technique. He tried to perform it. The power of this top-level magic was really good. There were not many magics that reached this level in the entire mortal world. Even in the Yanhuang royal family, if you want to get this level of magic, you need to make great contributions. On the basis of the law of heaven and earth, adding another magic is also prepared for the pilgrimage of all nations, to give yourself some more means of attack. There seemed to be time left, and Emperor Yu had no news about the details of the pilgrimage of all nations, so Wu Yu continued to practice in the floating life tower. This time, the focus of his goal was the 3rd level of the somersault cloud. He had already mastered the 2nd level of the somersault cloud. But he was still confused about the 3rd level. Without any cultivation techniques and no idea of any direction, Wu Yu could only seek new techniques from the Ruyi Jinggubang and communicate with it. However, this was not an easy process. Most of the time, it was difficult for him to gain anything. Perhaps this required luck, so in the mechanical heaven, Wu Yu had no gains for half a day, and the Ruyi Jingbang seemed to ignore him. Be patient, I also spent a lot of effort to get these cultivation techniques. Young man, don't be impatient, be patient, Ming Long said proudly. Wu Yu was indeed not in a hurry. He had already been patient, especially when he was closer to the possibility of becoming an immortal, the greater the challenge. But at this time, Yezixi came to Wu Yu. Wu Yu knew that she must have something urgent to do, so she came to him in a hurry, so he hurried out of the Fusion Tower. Brother Yu, I received the communication talisman from Brother Nanshan. He seems to be being hunted by the Black Demon. He said that he was trapped in a magic circle in the Sakura Pavilion of the Flower Language Wonderland. He temporarily used the Phantom Demon Eye to restrain the opponent, but I am afraid he can't hold on for long. Yezixi rushed over and said nervously. Black Demon. Wu Yu didn't expect that this Black Demon was so bold that he dared to take action in the capital of God. Wu Yu really underestimated them. Even Le Diza probably didn't expect it. Now is not the time to be angry. He said to Yezixi, please notify Le Diza for me, I will go first. He was not particularly worried, because Nanshan Wanjiao was definitely capable of saving his life, especially in a place like Chengdu. But the Black Demon actually dared to take action in Chengdu, which made Wu Yu realize the determination of the bounty seeker to kill him. If he was not willing to risk his life, he would never take such a risk. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. After he finished talking to Yezixi, he immediately went there with the somersault cloud. He naturally knew where the Flower Language Wonderland was. It was a romantic place that Nanshan Wanjiao often went to, and the most famous place for dual cultivation in Chengdu. The girls and beauties in it were all proficient in piano, chess, calligraphy, painting, singing and dancing, and they were all top-notch. Most of them had immortal cultivation behind them. They were all peerless beauties, with unparalleled grace and beauty, attracting countless heroes. The guests of Flower Language Wonderland were endless every day, comparable to the first battlefield of Chengdu. I remember that the last time I went to the first battlefield of Chengdu, I passed by this Flower Language Wonderland. This is the core hinterland of the capital. It was beyond Wu Yu's expectation that the killer of the Black Devil dared to sneak in here. At this time, he didn't care about anything and just flipped the somersault cloud. Although it was not the exact location of the Flower Language Wonderland, it was very close. Wu Yu suddenly appeared above the streets of the capital, which frightened many people. Who is that? Who is so brave to run rampant in the capital? Before he finished speaking, Wu Yu drove the somersault cloud away from their sight. Soon Wu Yu saw the pink building that looked a bit like a snail. This was the Flower Language Wonderland. Although it was not big on the outside, there were countless magic arrays inside, creating a huge internal space. There were countless palaces and attics inside, just like a honeycomb. As a distinguished guest, Nanshan Wanjiao spent money here every day, so he naturally had a more noble place to enjoy, which was the Sakura Pavilion. However, Wu Yu didn't know where the Sakura Pavilion was. When he arrived at the entrance of the Flower Language Wonderland, some beautiful women recognized him. Emperor Le has come to visit us. We sisters miss you day and night and want to meet the Emperor. Before the beauties finished speaking, Wu Yu said with a serious face, someone assassinated Nanshan Wanjiao. Find someone to take me to the Sakura Pavilion. What? Hearing Wu Yu's words, they immediately realized the importance. In fact, there were strong people in the Flower Language Wonderland itself, but Nanshan Wanjiao probably didn't trust them very much, so he didn't ask them for help directly. Emperor, please follow me. They quickly sent several communication talismans, and at the same time, a man in white appeared and led Wu Yu. The man in white was in the realm of asking questions, so he was very fast, but Wu Yu was still faster. Fortunately, the Sakura Pavilion was not far away and he arrived immediately. Emperor's envoy, I have informed our guardians. Why don't we wait for them? No. The Sakura Pavilion in front of us is a huge courtyard full of cherry blossoms, a patch of pink and fragrant. There is a palace deep in the cherry garden. Nanshan Wanjiao must be inside this palace now. Without saying a word, Wu Yu left the man in white and rushed in. The door of the palace was open. When Wu Yu went in, he saw that in the depths of the palace, about the position of the bed, a huge black sphere was engulfing it. The black sphere was composed of black fog and slowly rotated in the air, revealing a chilling aura. It was obviously a very powerful magic circle, otherwise Nanshan Wanjiao would not be trapped here. Under the black sphere, 2 chilling white bones fell down. The bones were still intact. Obviously, the person had just died, and they were women. Needless to say, Wu Yu knew that these were the beauties of this flower language wonderland. The killer of the Black Devil killed them first. At this time, the black mist sphere was shaking violently. Wu Yu knew that a battle must be going on inside. It was probably because Nanshan Wanjiao's magic pupil could not hold on. In fact, from the time Yezixi received the communication talisman to the time Wu Yu arrived here, less than 20 breaths had passed. Without saying a word, Wu Yu carried the huge burning heaven pillar and smashed it towards the black mist sphere. This type of array is easier to destroy from the outside. Fortunately, Nanshan sent out the communication talisman before he was trapped, otherwise it would be difficult to save him. Wu Yu directly used the attack array 9 Tribulations Burning Heaven Shattering Prison in the Burning Heaven Pillar. Wherever he went, everything was shattered. Even if the entire Sakura Pavilion had a solid array, it was completely shattered under Wu Yu's impact. All the cherry trees were torn apart, and the cherry blossoms were flying all over the sky. At this time, when the burning heaven pillar hit the black sphere head-on, the black sphere also exploded immediately, and a dark gas gushed out and rushed towards Wu Yu. Wu Yu smelled a dangerous breath. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1012. This is the 9-layered Dark Night magic array, which can trap people in the dark night where they can't see the sky and almost completely lose their vision. Moreover, this dark night world is connected with 9 layers, and it is difficult to break it instantly inside. But, you are here, it's much easier to destroy outside. In fact, before Wu Yu took action, the well-informed Ming Long had already told Wu Yu the details of the formation. The opponent used this magic circle to trap Nanshan Wanjiao, obviously hoping to kill Nanshan Wanjiao without anyone noticing. As long as you are trapped, it is difficult for the movement inside to disturb the outside. Wu Yu's 9 Tribulations Burning Heaven and Broken Prison directly blasted away the magic circle of the Black Devil Killer. At this time, the magic circle collapsed, and the dark energy spurted out, filling Wu Yu's vision. The entire Sakura Pavilion was swallowed up in the black mist. Wu Yu slightly experienced the feeling of being almost blind. However, his fiery eyes were not easily deceived at this time. A black shadow flashed and he was already running away. Want to leave? Even if he is the assassin of the Black Devil, Wu Yu can't let him go. Now, this killer organization makes the 3 of them live in fear all the time. The people who come will only be stronger and bolder than the last. Even gods dare to take action. Wu Yu himself can dodge his somersault clouds in front of Huangzun. Of course he is not worried about himself, but just like this time, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi will be alone when they are in great danger. This is the reason why Wu Yu is angry at the moment. Perhaps the person offering the reward is a certain emperor's son or daughter. He competed with Emperor Yu, and even assassinated Emperor Yu. Wu Yu had nothing to say, but turning his murderous intent on the 3 of them was something Wu Yu could not tolerate. He used his divine movement technique and caught up with the opponent in an instant. In this flower wonderland, it was not easy for the opponent to get rid of him. Wu Yu was not only fast, but also quite flexible. There are a lot of protective magic circles drawn in the entire Flower Fairyland, but this guy is still very powerful, like steel, knocking down walls after walls. If you want to escape from the inside first, once you mix into the crowd outside, it will not be easy for Wu Yu to find him. With such a huge commotion, Huayu Wonderland was extremely chaotic. The panicked screams of many women were heard for a while. Many people who were doing dual cultivation were suddenly broken through the wall. Naturally, they were so frightened that they almost went crazy. However, Wu Yu's opponent still clearly underestimated Wu Yu's speed. Before Wu Yu could rush out without destroying many walls, Wu Yu had already rushed behind him. The 9-color flame in his hand was divided into 9 sections and had 9 flames. The burning heaven pillar of the 9 tribulations furnace suddenly grew longer and thicker, stretching directly behind the opponent. Wu Yu used the majestic power of his body to push it forward and hit the night demon guest right in the back. The majestic force hit him, pushing against the killer, and slammed into the wall in front of him. Immediately, Fen Tianzu's huge force penetrated the wall, and the killer was also knocked out. He was probably immortal. At this time the internal organs will also be shaken. Outside this wall is the street outside. At this time, the commotion in Huayu Wonderland attracted the attention of many people. Many people were fleeing from the main gates. There were also many people in the distance who noticed this place. Usually the gods are very busy. There is rarely such commotion. Wu Yu also rushed out at this moment. The killer originally wanted to get out and blend into the crowd, but he failed because the place he came out happened to be a wide street. At this time, he heard a big movement here. People were hiding in the distance and watching. When he brushed off the dust on his body and reluctantly stood up, Wu Yu had come out and stood in front of him. At this time, both of them were exposed to the sight of many cultivators around him. Among. Who is that? This is a famous person, Wu Yu, the envoy of the emperor. An envoy conferred by the ancient emperor himself. It turned out to be him. There was no news a few days ago. He was said to have gone outside. Unexpectedly, he was back. When I came back, there was such a big movement. I am really arrogant and domineering. I dare to do something even in the capital of God. I am so arrogant. Wu Yu was not in the mood to listen to what these bored onlookers had to say. He was now staring at the guy in front of him. This was a woman. She was wearing black tights. She also had a black magic mask on her face, making her face unclear. In fact, many of the Black Devil's killers have identities and statuses, and the Black Devil's hood ensures that they have another identity when they act as killers. This killer is not weak in strength. He is almost the same as the blood poisoner. He should be at the 4th level of the 3 disasters realm. Such a level is already quite high in the City of Gods. In an army like the Flame Dragon Legion, he can do it. Be the Tianlong general under Chu Yin. It's a pity that most of the onlookers don't know its true strength, otherwise they don't know how far to hide. In order to prevent her from causing greater commotion, Wu Yu must subdue his opponent as soon as possible. Although it is said that the legions guarding the divine capital will arrive soon after there is movement here, the usual patrolling Yanlong guards and the like cannot be dealt with. Such a top ascetic. It came so fast, beyond my expectation. Although I shouldn't be able to escape today. But killing you will bring me the greatest glory in this life. Wu Yu, suffer death. At this time, she has been exposed, and she is still in the identity of the Black Devil assassin. Wu Yu is now a member of the royal family. If he attacks the royal family in the City of God, it is impossible for him to escape alive. Many strong people will come next. So this man knew that he could not escape. Therefore, killing Wu Yu became what she had to do desperately before being captured. This was her only chance. What she meant clearly was that even if she died, she would be praised and awed by others. To gain fame, she also needs to be remembered by many people as the one who killed such a talented person like Wu Yu. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Remember, my name is Daredevil. This is her killer code name. Let's all die. At this moment, the opponent suddenly started to take action. Wu Yu now had the initiative and only needed to resist the opponent's counterattack. However, he never expected that the opponent would attack the onlookers first. This Night Stalker, like the blood poison guest, is also an obvious ghost cultivator. At this moment, she sprinkled hundreds of jet black beans on the ground. Under the transformation of her magic, those black beans instantly transformed into evil spirits several feet tall, with green faces and fangs, bronze heads and iron arms, and the ability to spray poison from their mouths. The green mist emitted can instantly corrode people into bones. Wu Yu slightly underestimated the desperate and shameless nature of his opponent, and the opponent's evil spirits were born really quickly. At this moment, a large amount of green mist spewed out, and many monks nearby were directly hit. Many monks who were talking turned into corpses in fear. Until this moment, they who had been safe and sound in Chengdu for many years did not know how to be frightened and flee. For a moment, the sound of crying was loud, and almost everyone around them fled in panic. It seemed that Chengdu had never been so turbulent. However, Wu Yu reacted instantly and transformed into tens of thousands of extra-legal clones, instantly occupying the surrounding area and surrounding the Night Stalker and hundreds of other evil ghosts. In terms of numbers, Daredevil was completely at a disadvantage. The death of these people is all your debt. Haha. Daredevil laughed loudly, her eyes were very vicious, and this viciousness even penetrated the black magic hood. Those evil spirits did not stop. She wanted to break through the siege of Wu Yu's clones and continue to plunge Chengdu into chaos. With his strength comparable to that of Tianlong General, this was indeed possible. Withering Divine Eye technique, Wu Yu was angry in his heart, but he still calmly used his Taoist technique. For a time, among the clones surrounding the Night Stalker, the eyes of the 1,000 or so closest ones were it instantly became extremely hot, shining with its extremely dazzling light, causing the surrounding area to be instantly immersed in the dazzling bright light, and then the withering Divine Eye technique exploded in an instant, and those evil spirits were basically penetrated more than 3 times. The Taoist light of the Divine Eye technique is extremely destructive to such beings. It can be seen that these hundreds of evil ghosts were burned to ashes by Wu Yu's withering Divine Eye technique almost instantly, and disappeared screaming. Her baby was instantly defeated by Wu Yu, and Daredevil was naturally angry, but now Wu Yu has shown the strength recorded in the data, which makes her a little scared when facing Wu Yu's cold eyes at this moment. What a flower fairyland, let you destroy it like this. You what 2 beauties, let you turn into bones, even one death is not enough. At this time, Nanshan Wanjiao appeared in front of the night demon guest. The phantom pupil of her left eye changed, and the space and the world were distorted. Under the illusion of Nanshan Wanjiao, she seemed to be struggling again, and her eyesight seemed a little confused. The other party is the 4th level of the 3 disasters Dao realm. If she cannot be controlled and she is allowed to wreak havoc in the divine capital, the lethality will still be quite huge. Nanshan Wanjiao has now controlled her, which is a great opportunity. Ever since Nanshan Wanjiao possessed the phantom eyes, his control ability has become stronger and stronger, and it is indeed effortless to fight with him. Withering Divine Eye technique. This time, Wu Yu was right in front of the night demon guest, with tens of thousands of clones distributed on the left and right, densely surrounding the night demon guest. At this moment, including the main body, he simultaneously used the Withering Divine Eye technique. In an instant, during this time, there were at least 20,000 or more rays of light penetrating through the Night Stalker. Under the control of Nanshan Wanjiao, the Night Stalker woke up before the crisis of death, but the time was too short, and the Withering Divine Eye technique too soon. What greeted her was death like ashes. Especially those two looks from Wu Yu's body. Buzz. With a shock, the Night Stalker was shattered into pieces and died on the spot. Wu Yu dispersed his clones at this time, leaving him and Nanshan Wanjiao, because the movement was already very loud and there were many people around. Among them, Wu Yu also saw Chu Yin, who came very quickly with many Tianlong generals from the Yanlong Legion. Quick! At this time, no one knew what was going on, so they looked at Wu Yu. Wu Yu looked at the imperial city from a distance and said in front of everyone, "Tell the person who placed a bounty on our lives to the Black Devil, no matter who you are, the fate of this killer today will be your fate." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1013. Of course, many people would hear such words at this time. Before Wu Yu killed the Night Stalker, many people had clearly seen the situation inside through the gaps in Wu Yu's clone, and could vaguely hear the conversation between Wu Yu and the Night Stalker. For example, Chu Yin, at this time he roughly understood what was going on. Of course, he himself knew that Wu Yu was already being hunted by the Black Devil outside the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. What did he mean by that? Didn't you hear that? Someone is offering a reward in the Black Devil to kill him. The person who died just now was the assassin of the Black Devil. The Black Devil's assassins. It is said that the Black Devil's assassins are very scary. Moreover, isn't there rule that they will never give up until the task is completed? Anyone who is targeted by the Black Devil will be rewarded as long as the reward is enough. Will definitely be killed. By the way, who wants to assassinate the Emperor's envoy? When Wu Yu said those words and the onlookers were asking each other, the discussion was quite loud. Chu Yin's appearance here should have happened recently. The security of the divine capital is handled by the Yanlong Legion. At this time, more and more people came here to watch the excitement. Chu Yin waved his hand and said in a strong voice, "Everyone is gone, now." When everyone saw it, the commander of the Flame Dragon Legion had spoken. Although they wanted to take a few more glances, they could only leave in despair. There were more than 20 corpses on the ground, but it was a pity that he didn't know whose they belonged to. Chu Yin ordered some subordinates to deal with the scene. In addition, the managers of Huayu Wonderland also came out at this time. Their emergency measures were a little slow. After all, there were very few gods in the city. This kind of thing will happen. At this time, they communicated with Chu Yin and roughly knew what happened. "Mr. Nanshan, I'm so sorry. We really didn't expect that this Black Devil person would be so hateful that he would dare to be in the capital of the gods. The person in charge of Huayu Wonderland now is a charming beauty." At this time, he is apologizing to Nanshan Wanjiao. After all, they have certain responsibilities for the safety of their guests. Ignore your affairs, arrange the funeral arrangements for Qing'er and Yu'er, and take care of their families. Nanshan Wanjiao rarely felt angry, but now she does. "Don't worry, our sisters will naturally make arrangements." At this time, the onlookers dispersed under Chu Yin's order, but the details of what happened here were also completely spread. It is estimated that it won't be long before everyone in this prosperous and well-informed city will know what happened here. The history and truth of the riot. Nanshan Wanjiao was assassinated by the Black Devil, and Wu Yu killed the Black Devil assassin. People were amazed that the Black Devil dared to take action in the capital of God. At the same time, they were also curious, who was so bold as to assassinate the Emperor and the others. It is said that it has been done once before. Of course, while people are guessing the identity of the person offering the bounty, they are also wondering, what is the other person's purpose? Why did they want to assassinate Wu Yu and the others? If it were other emperors' sons and daughters, it would be worth pondering. People clearly felt that before the pilgrimage of all nations, the changes in the city of God had already arrived. It was like a big play was about to take place soon, and the monks in the divine capital were full of expectations. Of course, after hearing that many onlookers died, they, as onlookers, would also feel a little chilled. After all, who knows whether this storm will affect them and kill them all? In the flower language wonderland, after Chuyin took care of the scene, Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao were also preparing to return to the emperor's mansion. Chuyin went with them. The emperor's son was arriving before, but Wu Yu told him that it was over here, so he returned to emperor's mansion first. At this time, Chuyin looked at Wu Yu from the side, with admiration in his eyes, and said, "Emperor Yu, that night demon guest should be at the 4th level of the 3 disasters realm. But you are so relaxed. Kill. From the time I saw you in Biming, Emperor Yu's progress is truly unprecedented and unparalleled. In terms of talent, it is not an exaggeration to say that he is now the best in the world." He had probably been preparing this sentence for a long time after Wu Yu killed the Night Stalker. Wu Yu came here from Biming, and his progress was indeed terrifying. At that time, he could only defeat the Yuan Shen realm, but now he can kill the 4th level of the Dao realm. Wu Yu was a little worried about the Black Devil thing. The handsome pair of children have made great progress. They are much better than their peers, Wu Yu said. Speaking of Xuanhuan and Chu Fenjiao, Chuyin was of course very satisfied. He smiled and nodded, saying, "The recent progress of these 2 children is indeed amazing. They must have had some good luck in the Taku Immortal Road. Of course, compared with the Emperor's envoy, it's still far behind. To be honest, I didn't expect you to be like this when I brought you back." It didn't take long before they returned to the Emperor's mansion. Seeing that none of them were injured, Prince Kaoru felt relieved, but he was still very angry and said, "It's really unreasonable. Is this dark devil already crazy? He dares to do something even in the capital of God." Chuyin said, "It is indeed arrogant, but it must have alarmed the regent. Before the pilgrimage of all nations, the regent was very nervous. This assassination failed. I believe the person who offered the reward will also be panicked." Chuyin's meaning was actually very obvious. He believed that the person offering the reward was a certain emperor's son. Once the regent becomes angry, even according to the rules of the Black Devil, destruction is not allowed to reveal the person offering the reward, so the person offering the reward will probably panic. He wanted to deal with Wu Yu without anyone noticing, but who knew that things would become more troublesome. Emperor Kaoru nodded and said, "This person is really forced, and even the Black Devil dares to cooperate. The Black Devil hides in the dark, and has strict rules, and does not accept hard or soft, so it is indeed a bit difficult to deal with. But if the regent is personally paying attention to this matter, and I believe that the Black Devil himself will know that he has taken on a wrong mission. Now that it has become a big deal, I think the person who put the bounty on it will probably be unable to bear it, and he will cancel the mission." This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Wu Yu said, "The opponent is already crazy, so it's not necessarily true. We still have to be more careful in the future until the winner is determined." Wu Yu glanced at Nanshan Wanjiao. Nanshan Wanjiao nodded and said, "This time I got involved in this matter. I almost lost my life today. No matter who the reward is, I will make him pay the price." Emperor Zi said quickly, "If the Black Devil hadn't really done a good job in keeping secrets, it would not be difficult to find the person who offered the reward. Now either we have to wait for the other party to withdraw due to the pressure of the regent, or we can continue. Let's see. Let's see who loses and who wins. I don't believe that I can't find this person. However, the most important thing right now is the pilgrimage of all nations. In fact, I and all the other emperor's sons and daughters were at the regent's place just now. The regent has announced some details about the pilgrimage of all nations, and it is very important information. The Black Devil's matter is indeed difficult to solve. After all, this is a very difficult killer organization. In their arrangement, it is impossible for the killer to know who the employer is, which is why they rarely make mistakes. They are highly organized. Speaking of the pilgrimage of all nations, it is obvious that this is the most important thing for the emperor. Xuanhuan and 3 other people are also here today, and there are already 8 people including Chu Yin. Your Majesty, please speak. The emperor said, everyone remember what I said last time. This time my father may have other arrangements after the pilgrimage. Different from the past, he may personally pose some problems so that those foreigners can challenge us head-on. Opportunity, right? Chu Yin said, this is also the test of the ancient emperor for his descendants. Although the risk is relatively high, I believe that our Yanhuang tribe will definitely live up to the public's expectations and the expectations of the ancient emperor. Especially the emperor's son will definitely perform well. The emperor's son arrived, this is natural. Father must be right. This is the first time he has personally set up a program. Needless to say, everyone knows the intention. It is a test for our brothers and sisters. Only the one who amazes the world, only in this way can we gain his recognition, therefore, this is not so much a test as it is an opportunity for us. Although there are too many foreigners and many strong ones, we may not have no chance of winning. It can be seen that the program set by the ancient emperor himself this time has become the final battlefield for the emperor's sons and daughters. Of course, this is what they think, and the ancient emperor did not say so. Therefore, at this moment, they should basically be very confident and want to defeat the others. After all, when the powerful people from the entire Jambu world gather in the divine capital, this is already the biggest stage. The most glorious place in the entire Jambu world. Being able to amaze the world here is the best start for becoming the new emperor in the future. Then, Emperor Ji talked about the specifics. At present, the regent said that the program must exist. But the father did not let him say more, so he could only reveal 2 points. The real details will not be announced until the day of the pilgrimage of all nations. What 2 points? Of course everyone was curious. The emperor's son was full of yearning and said, first point, when the time comes, my father will bring a place called the Ancient Soul Tower. This is the place where all the heroes in the world compete. Have you heard of the name of the Ancient Soul Tower? I don't know what it is. Wu Yu and the others also shook their heads, not even Ming Long had heard of it. The emperor's envoy said, I just asked many people, and the regent himself said that he didn't know what it was. What about the second point? The emperor took a deep breath and said, the second point is that the person who performs best in the end will be rewarded by my father. The regent said in particular that this reward may be our emperor's sons and daughters. Desperate purpose. Just imagine, if the ancient emperor personally said the reward, would it be simple? The emperor was a little excited, his eyes were firm, and he said, finally, the regent reminded us to make more preparations. We must not lose the face of the Yanhuang people when the time comes, and we must do our best, although this is not what my father said. Yes, but the regent is someone who knows the details, so he must be right to remind you. Judging from his somewhat fanatical expression, a sensational drama is about to take place. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1014. Ancient Soul Tower. After something happened in Huayu Wonderland, Nanshan Wanjiao never went out again. In the past 2 days, the 3 of them have been making preparations for the pilgrimage of all nations. At present, everyone has the same information, especially regarding the Ancient Soul Tower. Not to mention foreigners, even the emperor's sons don't know what it is. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Ming Long, and the old guy who was carrying the Baokan golden rake at Nanshan Wanjiao, didn't know what an Ancient Soul Tower was. It might be somewhere, or it might be some kind of top-level Taoist weapon. Emperor Yu gave Wu Yu a lot of information about the major forces and almost all the powerful people in the entire Jambu world. A large part of them will come to the world for pilgrimage, especially some direct competitors who are about the same age. Now Emperor Keiru and the others are naturally full of energy. In recent days, other people have come into contact with Emperor Keiru and brought many good things to him, including one whose status is no worse than that of Emperor Nan. Of course, in the entire ancient Yanhuang kingdom, the highest status was the ancient emperor of Yanhuang, and the regent Dishishan acted as the agent to enforce the authority of the ancient emperor. After the ancient emperor, the two top people were undoubtedly from the eastern divine continent of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. The prince of the eastern region and the prince of Buddha from the third continent of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, the Futu divine continent. These two people govern a continent and have little contact with the gods, but they are definitely important figures in the entire ancient Yanhuang kingdom. Of course, in Yanfu, the largest ancient kingdom in the world, the struggle for power is different from that in the mortal world. The emperor may need some help and support from these top beings like the southern emperor, but he will never use their military strength and support. Political power, because who can become the next emperor of Yanhuang only depends on one person. Even if everyone in the world supports it and the ancient emperor opposes it, there is no chance. With the support of these people, the emperor will have more say and will receive many life-saving treasures, so that he can at least perform better in the next pilgrimage of all nations. With their current understanding, they basically have a photographic memory and can understand everything in less than an hour. Unexpectedly, there is also an introduction to the dragon clan of the Four Seas, but it is relatively small, because these dragons and immortal beasts spend most of their time hidden in the world, and ordinary people cannot come into contact with them. Moreover, they are still deep in the sea. In the introduction, there is some information about Luo Bin, but not much. It is only said that because of her outstanding talent, she is called by the dragon clan itself as a fairy beast that can definitely ascend to the heavenly palace, and she has top strength. At a young age, she has become the dragon lord of the Four Seas dragon clan. Just because her information appears here does not mean she will come here. Wu Yu asked the emperor, who said, in the past, all nations were invited to make pilgrimages, but they only sent a divine dragon. Although it didn't take action, it was quite powerful. They also sent tributes, and then left quickly. Participate in any dispute. Probably an elder in the clan. Anyway, concubine Luo never came. The Shenlong clan was once the overlord of the Jamfu world. In its heyday, it was said that it was comparable to all the other creatures in the Jamfu world combined, and of course surpassed the Yanhuang clan. However, 5 yuan ago, the rebellion of the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor made the Shenlong almost extinct. To this day, the Shenlong clan was almost extinct. None of them came back to recuperate. Wu Yu could only dream about it occasionally, maybe she would arrive. When I can be on par with her, I will definitely go find her. Wu Yu knew the gap between him and her, and this was his goal. The emperor's mansion was very quiet, but the entire world of Jambu felt like there was an undercurrent. On the third day after what happened in Flower Language Wonderland, Wu Yu was still thinking about the somersault cloud when suddenly there was movement in the emperor's mansion. He stopped thinking and went outside with Nanshan Wanjiu and Yezixi. They were shocked to see the regent. Emperor Shishan unexpectedly appeared in the emperor's mansion, accompanied by many princes and ministers. A group of people were waiting, standing in front of Emperor Keiru who had just come out. Seeing so many people with solemn expressions, Emperor Keiru didn't know what was going on and was a little confused. However, both Wu Yu and him immediately saw something unusual. The place where he was standing was next to the regent. There was another person here, who was the oldest and most prestigious Emperor Yan among the emperor's sons. But at this moment, golden ropes were wrapped around his body, completely controlling him. Looking at Emperor Yan's face, there was also panic, especially after seeing Emperor Yan and Wu Yu. After arriving here, the regent temporarily released Emperor Yan's son and no longer controlled him. In fact, God Shishin's age is not much older than that of Emperor Yan, so he can be regarded as a younger uncle of Emperor Yan. Emperor Yan had just been controlled. At this time, he was a little angry and said, "The regent tied me here for some reason? Why did you humiliate me for no reason?" Wu Yu is now also the second monk who is confused. Likewise, Emperor Kairu didn't seem to understand very well. At this time, the regent and the princes and ministers cast their cold eyes on Emperor Yan. Among them, the regent said coldly, "I know exactly what you have done during this period, and now the evidence is conclusive. The Black Devil has strict rules, but he doesn't dare to fight against our Yanhuang ancient kingdom, let alone the ancient emperor. You have failed this time, please kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake." "What? Don't slander me." Emperor Yan was extremely shocked, his eyes were bloodshot, and he fell into a state of madness. Wu Yu could clearly see that he was panicking. This shows that the one who placed the bounty among the black demons is really him. "I thought it wasn't him. I guess I overestimated him." Wu Yu shook his head. He was just a little suspicious of Emperor Yan at first, because he was afraid that someone would kill someone with a borrowed knife, but he didn't expect that. Of course, from Emperor Yan's point of view, he had to give it a try, and he did not believe that an organization as powerful as the Black Devil could fail twice in a row. Perhaps he couldn't imagine that an organization with such a reputation as the Black Devil would be so easily known by the regent as to who issued the bounty. "I have absolutely no connection with the Black Devil, let alone such a thing. You can't slander me." Emperor Yan glared at the regent and roared slightly. His loud voice could easily be heard within the imperial city, surrounded by the palaces of the emperor's sons and daughters, so it could easily be heard by others. After hearing this, the regent smiled slightly and said, "Emperor Yan, in this world, nothing can escape the eyes of the ancient emperor. You are a little too lucky this time. If you don't kneel down and admit your mistake, do you want to know in advance what will happen if you send people to assassinate the envoys of other emperors? I don't have much patience to mess with you here." Wu Yu could see that the regent must be well informed, otherwise he would not directly bring Emperor Yan's son here. The other princes and ministers all had indifferent faces. With such expressions, I believe that Emperor Yan would despair if he saw too much. As for the ancient emperor, everyone is actually just guessing about his abilities. Sometimes they find it scary, but sometimes they think that maybe it's not so scary. Maybe it's just rumors. Even Wu Yu himself thought this way. Perhaps Emperor Yan got lucky because of this. What happened? At this time, other people came here one after another. Those who were moving freely in the imperial city were basically people from the Yanhuang royal family. Most of them were the younger brothers and sisters of the ancient Emperor Yanhuang, such as the emperor. Source days. He also appeared among the crowd coming from behind, apparently hearing that Emperor Yan was taken away. Emperor Yan bribed the Black Devil and killed Emperor Yu. The second time, he did it directly in the capital of God. This matter was an insult to the Yanhuang royal family. Today, here, the first thing is to make Emperor Yan surrender to the emperor. The emperor's son and the emperor's envoy kowtowed and admitted their mistake, the regent Dishishan said in a deep voice. Regarding this kowtow and confession, Wu Yu felt that this was already a very serious punishment for Emperor Yan. Looking at their looks, Diyu and Tian and some others felt like they wanted to ask Dishishan if he had made a mistake. However, with their intelligence, they knew the truth once they saw Emperor Yan's panicked look, so they could only "I cursed in my heart, hating that iron cannot become steel." Regarding the matter of solid evidence, there is no need to bring it up. The regent represents the ancient emperor. No matter how many people are unconvinced now, they know that Dishishan will not bring this matter. Such a face-related matter went wrong. Fortunately, I just kowtowed and admitted my mistake. Emperor Yuanation's thoughts moved and he quickly scolded Emperor Yan, saying, "You stupid donkey, how dare you do such a stupid thing, which almost brought shame to our royal family." Fortunately, nothing irreparable happened. "Why don't you kneel down, kowtow and admit your mistake?" He said it calmly, which meant that Wu Yu was not dead anyway, and if kowtowing and admitting his mistake could calm the turmoil, then that would be perfect. Emperor Yan was quite smart, and finally admitted at this time that he knew that admitting his mistake was the only way, so he quickly knelt down and cried loudly, "Brother Yu, and the envoy Emperor Yu, this time it was me who was obsessed with jealousy. I tried to kill the emperor's son, but fortunately I didn't make a big mistake. I hope you can forgive me." For this arrogant old emperor, kowtowing to his young brother and admitting his mistake like this is simply a shame and a great humiliation. It is something he would never do at ordinary times, but now he has no choice but to save his life. He obviously underestimated the regent's determination to support the emperor's son, and also overestimated the dark devil. As the regent said, even the black devil would not dare to offend the Yanhuang tribe. Emperor Yu was very state-of-the-art. At this time, he helped Emperor Yan and greeted him with a smile. He has already won. There is no need to look down on him and make him look lackluster. Such a smile will also make other uncles and aunts look up to him. Thank you so much." Emperor Yan finally relaxed after escaping from death. Unexpectedly, the regent suddenly became serious and said loudly, "The evidence is conclusive that Emperor Yan murdered his younger brother, the envoy. Killing each other is still a taboo of our Yanhuang clan, and it is also a taboo of the royal family. According to the law, Emperor Yan will be deprived of his son, the identity of the emperor's son, exiled to the eastern hell for hundreds of years." Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1015. /U003C/strong/U003. After saying this, Wu Yu was shocked. WXS520. I didn't expect this to be the real punishment. In comparison, the kneeling just now was purely like giving face to Emperor Le. He was a little surprised, not to mention others. In fact, even Emperor Yuan Tian was misled by the regent. The regent asked Emperor Yan to kneel down. They all thought that this was a matter between the younger generation, which could be big or small. Emperor Yan knelt down to admit his mistakes and never dared to do it again, so this matter would be over. Unexpectedly, after this was over, Emperor Yan was relieved. He just said that he would deprive him of his status as an emperor, which was already a major blow. He lost everything, and he was even exiled to the terrible eastern hell far away in the eastern divine continent. That was the place where the Yanhuang people imprisoned the most vicious criminals. Deprived of his status as an imperial son, he became an ordinary Taoist in the ancient Yanhuang country. He was exiled to the eastern hell for 100 years, imprisoned for 100 years, and endured 100 years of loneliness. His strength might not improve much. He had already survived the catastrophe of the heavenly thunder under the severe blow. It was very likely that he would die in the disaster of the Yin fire. As for Bai Feng, there was no need to think about it. It was unlikely that he could reach this point. Among the older imperial sons, Emperor Yan was not the most outstanding one, but he loved to show off since he was a child. After hearing the news, Emperor Yan was still stunned. He looked at Regent King Dishishan in disbelief, thinking that he had heard it wrong. He even asked Di Yuan beside him in a panic, "What did the Regent King say?" "From now on, I will announce to the world that because Emperor Yan plotted to kill his brother's imperial envoy, according to the laws of our clan, he will be stripped of his status as an imperial son and exiled to the eastern hell for 100 years. Regent King Dishishan repeated it again, and his voice was loud, and it had been completely spread. "Impossible. I don't accept it." Emperor Yan was already scared, his eyes were wide open, and he looked at Dishishan with bloodshot eyes. Di Yuan frowned and said, "Regent, I think this punishment is too strict. Throughout history, no emperor's son or daughter has ever been so strict. He was just confused for a moment and made a mistake, and it did not cause serious consequences. This kind of thing is just a conflict between the younger generation. Young people are full of blood and it is normal to have such a conflict. Apologies and confessions are acceptable to both sides. There is no need to impose such a severe punishment. If we mobilize a large number of troops and spread it out, it will also humiliate the reputation of my Yanhuang clan. The other slightly older people, who are all Dishishan's brothers and sisters, also helped Yan Diza to speak. They were similar to Diyuan Tian in that they all thought that it was not necessary to be so strict. At this time, Yan Diza saw that there was still a glimmer of hope, so he knelt down and kowtowed to Dishishan, crying and shouting, "Regent, I know I was wrong, I will never dare to do it again, please give me a chance to reform." Pa pa pa. The forehead hit the ground heavily. Unexpectedly, the regent just smiled at him, and then said to Diyuan Tian and the others, "First, young people are prone to impulsiveness, but unfortunately Emperor Yan is not much younger than me, and he is no longer a young man. I can only say that it is a pity that he did such an immature thing at such an age. Second, if you have any objections, wait until you become the regent, and then retaliate against me. As long as I am the regent, everyone in and outside the ancient Yanhuang country will listen to me. And I, of course, listened to the ancient emperor's opinion." After he finished speaking, he smiled and faced all his other brothers and sisters alone. Most of them were older than him, with high status, and some even served as regents, but not as long as Dishishan. When Dishishan showed strong self-confidence, Diyuan Tian and the others hesitated. They naturally remembered that when the ancient emperor burned the pillar of heaven last time, they also opposed it. They never expected that it was the ancient emperor's intention. The current Dishishan is a bit unpredictable to them. The pilgrimage of all nations is about to begin. It's time to defend the honor of our Yanhuang clan. Such a cancer among the emperor's sons and daughters, who affects the reputation of our Yanhuang royal family, must disappear. If you have other opinions, please find the ancient emperor." After Emperor Shishan finished speaking, he asked a general next to him to capture Emperor Yan. The general was his confidant. At least he had the cultivation level of the 7th level of the 3 disasters asking realm. It was not a problem to capture the top-level Emperor Yan. Although Emperor Shishan said, "Please find the ancient emperor," but everyone knew that they couldn't find him at all. This was why Emperor Shishan made them helpless. The more confident Emperor Shishan was, the more they retreated, because it often showed that what he did was exactly what the ancient emperor meant. If he was the one who did things wrong, they didn't need to say much, the ancient emperor would deal with him personally. At this time, Emperor Yuan Tian and the others looked at Emperor Le and then at Emperor Yan, who was crying bitterly, and they saw the difference. One, young, steady, calm, talented, with an immeasurable future, and supported by a group of talented young people. The other, old, reckless, impulsive, with exhausted talent, obviously unlikely to become an immortal, and no one like Wu Yu around him. The ancient emperor still has a long time to live, he can afford to wait. Who the ancient emperor will choose at this time, it is really clear at a glance. They understood that the regent favored Le Diza so much because he could get close to the ancient emperor and figure out the ancient emperor's intentions, or in other words, directly execute the ancient emperor's intentions. This severe punishment of Emperor Yan is also a complete explanation of the importance that the ancient emperor attaches to Emperor Le. If they still don't understand it at this time, they don't need to live for hundreds of years. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. "Uncle, save me quickly!" Emperor Yan burst into tears, hugged Emperor Yuanatian's legs sadly, and his voice was shrill. "You deserve it, no one can help you." Emperor Yuanatian's face turned cold, stretched out his hand to push Emperor Yan away, and then left directly, very quickly. After he left, others also left quickly, as if they didn't want to have any relationship with Emperor Yan anymore. Uncle, Emperor Yan was completely stunned. Maybe at this time, he should understand. He stared at Emperor Li, and Emperor Li looked cold and looked at him. Although there was a gap in strength, there was no gap in momentum. Go to hell, Yan Dize suddenly exploded and wanted to kill Li Dize, but facing this irrational man, Dishishin certainly would not let him go. The generals around him quickly subdued him with Taoist weapons. If Wu Yu's estimate was correct, they might use Tianling Taoist weapons at their level. One level higher than Shangling Taoist weapons. Be prepared. Dishishin took a last look at Li Dize, nodded slightly, and left with the subdued Yan Dize. This time, Yan Dize was indeed ruined. After 100 years, he might not be alive. By then, the world would have changed a lot. Then, the regent and others left quickly. Yan Dize's affairs would be announced, and this person would completely disappear in the capital of gods. Of course, perhaps many years later, people would talk about him. Only Wu Yu and Li Dishi were left in Li Daifu. To be honest, I was a little stunned. The regent was too strict this time. After they left, Emperor Li smiled bitterly and said to Wu Yu, "It is really hard to guess what the regent is up to." Wu Yu nodded. Emperor Li said, "You know what will happen if this news gets out?" Wu Yu pondered for a while and said, "The last time the news about the ordinary young Emperor Gu had already made many people talk about you. This time, the different treatment and the severe punishment of Emperor Yan will make you stand out more, just like the chosen one. It will undoubtedly make you stand out. Not to mention the hundreds of other princes and princesses who are eyeing you covetously, and those who are no worse than you. Those pilgrims from all countries will also pay special attention to you, and even want to provoke the Yanhuang people by suppressing you." This is the reason why Emperor Li smiled bitterly. Although Emperor Yan was stripped of his identity and exiled for 100 years, it was a great relief to everyone. But if you look closely, even Emperor Yuan Tian and the others began to think that Emperor Li would be the special one, not to mention the outside world. It is estimated that within 3 days, the entire Yanhuang ancient country, and even the entire Yanfu world, will be talking about you, Emperor Li. Nanshan Wanjiao said with a smile. "Wu Yu, do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing?" Emperor Li did not seem to have much confidence. Wu Yu said, "It's hard to say. After all, everything still depends on the ancient emperor. We are just ordinary people. We can only follow the fate and go with the flow. No matter what, we just have to fight with the greatest effort." Although he said this, he didn't mean it in his heart. This was said to Emperor Li. After all, at this time, it would be useless to say anything else. The regent had already pushed them to the forefront, and now they were living in the eyes of the whole world. It makes sense. Emperor Li still agreed. The pilgrimage of all nations is coming soon. It is said that in the past few days, foreigners have entered the ancient country from the major borders of the Yanhuang ancient country. In order to prevent the scoundrels from taking the opportunity to cause chaos, the major legions, prefecture armies, and city armies of the Yanhuang ancient country have all been on guard. Wu Yu was still talking to Emperor Yu, when suddenly there seemed to be a huge vibration in the sky. Wu Yu heard a huge roar, as if countless bees were flapping their wings in his ears. Looking up, the spiritual energy of the divine capital was rich, and the white clouds in the sky were filled with a lot of spiritual energy. At this time, a huge black shadow was looming behind the clouds. The black shadow was extremely huge. Just looking from below, the outline of the black shadow was comparable to a huge city, at least equivalent to 1/10 of the divine capital. It was almost as big as the imperial city. Wu Yu used his fiery eyes to see a huge black platform that was pressing down, just like a huge seal. But after the bottom of the seal penetrated the clouds, Wu Yu found that it was the tower base, so the huge monster that was descending was a huge tower. Wu Yu instantly remembered its name. Ancient Soul Tower. Today, 2 chapters first. I spent some time thinking about the pilgrimage of all nations, and will make up for it tomorrow. I owe 4 chapters. /U003 sem /U003e. Announcement Client Privileges, Sign in and get VIP. Special topic Read the novel of the same name in the hit drama. /U003c/m /U003e. If, q.ste, read type, equal to VIP chapter /U003c0. /U003CSCR plus IPT SRC equals add/view, 8 equals H5 minus 01 /U003E /U003C/SCR plus. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1016. Ancient Soul Tower descended to the Divine Capital. The area of the tower base alone was comparable to the entire imperial city. It was slowly descending at this time, so it was not clear how high this ancient soul tower was. At this moment, Wu Yu also saw that almost everyone in the entire divine capital, including the imperial city, was alarmed, and almost everyone came out of the house, watching the descent of the ancient soul tower in shock and awe. Even in the countless satellite cities around the divine capital, people flew up to the sky and looked at the descending ancient soul tower in the direction of the divine capital. On their side, it was easier to see the full picture of the ancient soul tower. Wu Yu, Nanshan Wanjiao, Yezixi, Le Daizi and others also flew a little higher, and at this time, the bottom of the ancient soul tower had basically landed at the same level as the tallest building in the divine capital. In the divine capital, there was an area equivalent to the size of the imperial city. At this time, people in this area raised their heads and could only see the black tower base, which was like a dark starry sky. This part of the area was like being plunged into the dark night. Wu Yu heard countless noises throughout the entire divine capital, including the countless satellite cities around it. Because most people did not know about the ancient soul tower, when such a giant descended on the divine capital, people would still be afraid. At this moment, almost everyone was discussing what this was. People ran around to tell each other, their faces tense, as if the end of the world was coming. Wu Yu was also deeply attracted by this ancient soul tower. When the ancient soul tower finally landed in the right place and stopped going down, Wu Yu finally saw its full picture. The ancient tower has 2 colors in total, not all black, but black and gold. Black symbolizes mystery and terror, while gold symbolizes authority and holiness. This ancient soul tower has a total of 9 levels. From bottom to top, the first level is pitch black, the second level is dazzling gold, and the third level is gloomy black. And so on, black and gold alternate, to the highest 9th level, it is pitch black again. However, the sharpest part of the top of the tower is golden, like a golden spear pointing to the sky. This is the full view of this ancient soul tower. Whether it is black or golden tower walls, there are many reliefs on them. Wu Yu used his fiery eyes to take a closer look and found that the reliefs on it were carved with various sentient beings, men, women, old and young, all from different races. In the golden and black areas, almost all people were prostrating themselves on the ground, looking extremely pious. In fact, each human relief was not big, probably only the size of a palm, and such a huge ancient soul tower had hundreds of millions of people carved on it. Kneeling on the ground in front of countless people was quite shocking. What they worshipped was naturally the top of the tower, and the golden spire on the top of the tower pointed to the sky, so Wu Yu roughly estimated that the countless sentient beings were worshipping the sky. In addition to the dense reliefs, there are 4 huge bells hanging on each floor of the tower. At this time, these bells are all in a static state. It seems that the ancient soul tower is not a certain place, but a Taoist weapon, at least a Taoist weapon of the heavenly spirit, maybe a Taoist weapon of the Holy Spirit. Of course, it may also be a divine weapon, which has exceeded the level of a Taoist weapon. After seeing the ancient soul tower, Ming Long said, "Divine weapon. The divine weapons that Wu Yu encountered now are nothing more than the Ruyi Jinggu Bang, and there are not many including the phantom demon pupil. And Wu Yu and his team basically can't exert their true power. So he naturally knows how terrible this ancient soul tower is under the control of the Yanhuang ancient emperor. When the ancient soul tower appeared, Wu Yu felt as if there was a mountain pressing on his head. It was a kind of suppression of momentum and a kind of suppression of the soul. This is what the ancient soul tower brought. Under this ancient soul tower, no matter who it is, there is a feeling of difficulty in raising their heads. Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi had already felt it, and they looked at Wu Yu with unhappy faces. Father. Although Emperor Li couldn't raise his head, he was extremely excited, even a little fanatical. After all, this was the ancient Emperor Yanhuang whom he worshipped. Outside the imperial city, under the suppression of the ancient soul tower, hundreds of millions of people, who could not see the relief on the tower, knelt on the ground tacitly and devoutly, shouting "Long live the ancient emperor!" For a while, this sound shook the heaven and earth, and it became louder and louder after it was transmitted to the satellite city. Then, more cities heard such sounds. Although they might not see the ancient soul tower, they could probably guess that it might be the ancient emperor's appearance, so countless Yanhuang people were excited and fanatical, and knelt on the ground. Of course, only the ancient soul tower appeared, and the ancient emperor did not really appear. Even so, this made many Yanhuang people crazy. The ancient soul tower has appeared, which means that the pilgrimage of all nations is not far away. This is the ancient soul tower. I wonder what's inside. Li Diza looked at the ancient soul tower with excitement, unable to calm down for a long time. The entire Yanhuang tribe knelt down for a long time, more than 2 hours, before they stood up one after another and busy themselves with their own affairs. Even so, they would look devoutly in the direction of the ancient soul tower from time to time. Wu Yu also started to busy himself with his own affairs. The appearance of the ancient soul tower made him feel pressure. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. He had a premonition that ancient Emperor Yanhuang might set up some kind of conspiracy against him in the ancient soul tower. He didn't know if this was overestimating himself, it was just his intuition. So he was planning to go to the ancient demon world again. The last time I was unprepared and in too much of a hurry, I didn't see anything. If it was really possible to escape to the ancient demon world in the future, I would definitely find out what kind of place that ancient demon world was. So after returning to the emperor's palace, he asked Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi to take care of it, and then he took out the door to the ancient demon world. This time, he was not prepared to take Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi in. The two of them wanted to go in, but after hearing Wu Yu talk about the dangers there, they gave up. After all, Wu Yu's somersault cloud was more effective and could escape. At least, Wu Yu wanted to find a place to survive temporarily in the ancient demon world. Of course, this is just the last way he is going to take. If he doesn't have to, he certainly won't want to leave his hometown. What's a little troublesome is that he can't return to Dongsheng Shenzhou for the time being. There is no way to take Wu Yu and the others away. It's also possible that I'm overthinking it myself. The ancient Emperor Yanhuang may not be that powerful and know many of my secrets. Even if he knows, he may not be evil-hearted and may not have any intentions towards me. He is just preparing for the worst now. Opening the door to the ancient demon world again, using his own blood to drip behind the golden eyes, it penetrated in as expected. Within a quarter of an hour, the door to the ancient demon world slowly opened, until finally, After the gray mist and lightning disappeared, a place like a lake appeared. Wu Yu quickly crossed the lake and came to the ancient demon world. Before arriving in the world of ancient demons, it underwent some changes, transforming its body into the smallest form. It was only about half a foot, as high as a palm, and its body was only as wide as 2 fingers. It looked smaller than a mortal mouse. Even smaller. This is at least much more concealed, and the speed has been increased by more than 3 times. If you are using the magic technique, it is already very fast without the use of somersault clouds. He was very sure that the place where he appeared now was the last time he returned from the gate of the ancient demon world to the place of Jambu world. This shows that where he opened the door last time, if he just goes back like this, he will arrive at that place next time. So if he can find a safe place this time, he will be able to survive at least for a while next time he comes here. Now he is traveling in the jungle of this ancient demon world. The trees here are very huge. Even if he is of normal size, the leaves of the giant trees can block the sky and the sun for him, not to mention that his body has become smaller now. He was now on the leaves, like an ant-sized insect. Wu Yu looked at the surroundings with blazing eyes. This time he did not dare to use the extra-legal clone. It would be terrible if the demons in this ancient demon world were alarmed. For the time being, he still doesn't know what level of demon wisdom this ancient demon world is and whether they can communicate with each other. The wisdom should not be low. After all, the wisdom of the golden-eyed ancient demon is already quite extraordinary. However, when I think of the birds in the sky, the rabbits on the ground, and the fish in the sea, all of them have red eyes, and they don't look like they have high intelligence or can communicate. The spiritual energy here is still extremely rich, and even the most ordinary places are more powerful than the divine capital, which is simply unbelievable. Even if Wu Yu stays here or the fusion tower is here, it can absorb a lot of spiritual energy. If the fusion tower can be placed here to practice, the effect will definitely be better. I am afraid that the fusion tower here will be discovered by other creatures. If it is taken away by other living beings, then the gain outweighs the loss. Wu Yu walked forward alone, heading towards the depths of the land. At first, he appeared at the junction of the land and the sea. He had traveled far along the way, and he didn't even encounter the ancient demon, which surprised him a little. However, everywhere here seemed to be undeveloped places, and he couldn't see any place that was safer. Here basically, not many traces of the magic circle were found, and there was no city. It looked even more primitive than the former Nanyan demon continent. It is indeed difficult to find a place to hide in such a world. Wu Yu wandered around for a long time without any results. Today is really, I was ready to do something big, but misfortunes never come singly. I had a stiff neck in my right shoulder last night. It has been sore for a day, and it has not healed even after applying dog skin plaster. Today's chapter is also entirely based on voice input, and it is very well written. It's very strenuous. I really tried hard to think of more today. After all, I've been putting it off for a few days, but my arms feel sore when typing. It's really affecting me. I don't know if you have ever felt like this. Maybe you are still young and don't have so many problems. I owe you 5 chapters. I guess there won't be much of a problem tomorrow. Come on, madman. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1017. It seems that there are not many creatures in the ancient demon world. He wandered around for a long time, but this time he didn't encounter any creatures. If it were in the Yanhuang ancient domain, it would be unlikely that there would be no one after wandering around for a long time. Basically, there would be villages, towns, and cities of cultivators. Of course, there are some extremely remote forbidden areas where no one is. But it's obviously not the case around here. In this ancient demon world, this seems to be a very ordinary place. Of course, the rich spiritual energy permeates the whole world, making the whole world full of spiritual energy that looks like water mist, with lush trees and leaves, and flowers blooming like brocade, looking like a vast and primitive fairyland. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward arrow. Wu Yu landed on a huge leaf. He climbed up the crown of a towering ancient tree. Now he stood at the highest position and looked around. To his west was an endless sea. He had not walked far, and in other directions were mountains and endless jungles. There were countless emerald green flowers, plants, and trees, shrouded in the mist of rich spiritual energy. To a certain extent, it blocked Wu Yu's sight. Wu Yu sighed again. This world is really vast and boundless. Can I find a hidden place and set up defense and concealment arrays on it? At least if I want to come to the ancient demon world in the future, I can at least have a place to stay temporarily, and Nanshan and the others can also take a breath. Nanshan, Wanjiao and Yezixi settled here, and it shouldn't be a big problem. After all, they all have magical powers. But Wu Yu still thought that if he could bring Wu Yu, Feng Shui and others here in the future, it would be safer. After all, the spiritual energy here would be of great help to them. Wu Yu imagined that the worst-case scenario was that the ancient Emperor Yanhuang knew all his secrets and had a conspiracy against him. Once Wu Yu escaped, he might even vent his anger on Wu Yu's relatives and friends. This is the worst-case scenario, and it is likely to happen, but at least now, sometimes Wu Yu still feels that he thinks too much. If he really has a conspiracy against me, he would have just done it to me long ago, and there is no need for me to continue to grow. In addition, if he is really an enemy, such a terrifying enemy, even if he loses everything in his hands, it is nothing. After all, the other party is now a god. How can Wu Yu, a weak mortal, fight against the gods? But no matter what, he confirmed the necessity of establishing a base in this ancient demon world. I'm just afraid that with my magic array level, the magic array I set up will be easily discovered. He must see how strong the average level of the demons in this ancient demon world is. The first time he came here, he encountered 3 terrifying existences in a row. Would that be the most basic combat power here? The strange thing is that he has not encountered a single living being since he came in this time. Just when Wu Yu had such doubts, there was a huge movement in the west. He looked over and saw that at the junction of land and sea, the sky and earth were turned upside down for a while. There were sounds of the sky and earth breaking and countless giant beasts roaring and fighting. Looking over there, he saw that there was a radiance all over the sky. It was obviously the top magical power. A large area was completely trapped in the war zone, including most of the sea. The movement of the battle even quickly affected Wu Yu's side. The ground below was cracked, and the towering ancient trees under his feet crashed to the ground one after another. There is a battle over there, and it is obvious that there are quite a lot of people. It is a battle between one group and another group. Although it must be very dangerous over there, the noise of this battle is too loud, and it has spread over and destroyed a large area. At this time, countless lights shot up into the sky, stirring the clouds, and dyed the white clouds in the sky blood red. However, this also means that this is Wu Yu's opportunity to understand the creatures in this world, so he basically did not hesitate and directly drove the somersault cloud to rush over there. Of course, he still used the law of heaven and earth to move with the smallest body. The sea over there seemed to be the place where he first came to the ancient demon world. Wu Yu circled around for a long time, and now he quickly went back. At full speed, it didn't take much time, and the closer he got, the clearer his eyes could see, so he didn't need to get completely close. The place where the two sides fought was on a beach, but now it has spread to the land and the deep sea. This time, Wu Yu saw too many creatures, and there were probably hundreds of them on both sides. Among them, this seems to be a battle between land demons and sea demons. Specifically, in each small battlefield, the demons fighting on both sides are sea demons and land demons. Wu Yu took a closer look and was really dazzled. In fact, in terms of the size of the body, These land demons and sea demons are not big. The largest is just a tiger with green hair and bloody eyes, but it is also the size of a normal tiger with a hanging forehead in the mortal world. This may be the characteristic of the demons in the ancient demon world. On the land demon side, there are all kinds of rare and exotic animals, such as the fiery red rabbit that Wu Yu saw last time. There are also black kittens with a moon pattern on their eyebrows, there are ferocious dogs with 2 or 3 heads, there are wild bulls with golden horns, there are small, invisible rats, and of course there are purple poisonous snakes with sharp claws, and even porcupines covered with poisonous thorns. The common characteristics of these dozens of land demons are that they are not big in size, similar to the beasts in the world of Yama, and their eyes are blood red, with no white part at all, which makes them look extremely fierce. And their opponents are also ordinary creatures in the sea, including various fish of different shapes, big and small, with different appearances. Some have many eyes, some have long spears on their heads, some are electrified, and some can transform into countless clones. Of course, there are also shrimps, crabs, squids, octopuses, and some demons that look like sea urchins. To be honest, their bodies are not very big. If they don't show their abilities, they look like food on the table. However, Wu Yu can clearly see that the demons who are fighting crazily and mercilessly on the battlefield are almost all strong. The weakest one is estimated to have the strength equivalent to the 8th level of the demon spirit transformation realm of the Yama world, and the strongest one is definitely equivalent to the 3 disasters realm, and it is an existence that Wu Yu is not sure to deal with, such as the rabbit that can break his 9 palaces immovable formation. This seems to be just a very small battlefield in the huge and vast ancient demon world, but unexpectedly, the scale of the battle is a bit like the vast battle on the ancient demon lake. Wu Yu can only say that it is eye-opening. These demons may not look big, but their magical powers are very mysterious, and Wu Yu has basically never heard of them. Different demons have different characteristics. For example, sea demons are more likely to use the sea, and most of their magical powers are also related to the sea. There is another point. The eyes of these warring parties are blood red, as if they have completely lost their minds. They attack desperately and have no mood to defend at all. Even if they lose to each other, it seems that as long as they can kill each other, it doesn't matter. So this is simply a suicidal battle. When Wu Yu came here, he was completely crazy. He has seen that many demon corpses have appeared on the battlefield. In such a fierce battle scene, even if Wu Yu goes forward, it will be very dangerous, so he hides in a dark place to observe and see if there is any follow-up. If the level of the monsters in the entire ancient monster world is the same as these monsters, then I can still survive. The monsters he encountered last time were so strong that Wu Yu mistakenly thought that he could not deal with all the monsters here, but today, at least 70% of the monsters on this battlefield can be dealt with by him. If he can deal with it, Nanshan and Yezixi should be able to hide in this world. In this way, I should bring them in to see next time. Anyway, they are very curious. Wu Yu was motionless, watching these monsters fighting. To be honest, their fighting style looks simple and rough, but in fact, this is the effect of a very good integration with their own Tao. The Tao connotation displayed in their every move is actually very profound, especially for some of the more powerful beings. And their bloodline is also very rare in the world of Yama. Watching this bloody battle is a little good for Wu Yu. This fight lasted for an hour. As expected by Wu Yu, there was no winner in this death battle. Because the strength of both sides was similar, and it was a suicidal fight. They would not stop until they killed the other side, and no one would flee from the battlefield. As a result, in the end, the sea demons had been killed, and on the land demon side, only the dying green-haired blood-eyed tiger was left, but the tiger was also covered with scars and looked like it would not live long. Unable to find an opponent, the tiger left a little crazy, roaring as it walked. Although its body was small, its roaring sound was absolutely shocking to the mountains and forests when it roared, All things dared not move. In front of Wu Yu was a huge scorched earth. Whether it was the sea or the land, it was severely damaged at this time. In this scorched earth range, there were dozens of demon corpses, some of which had been completely destroyed, and only a part was intact. Seeing so many demon corpses, Wu Yu's swallowing body was a little agitated. If it swallowed all of them, it would definitely grow to a terrifying level, probably comparable to the Regent and others. However, at that time, his soul would completely surpass his body, and he would only be another devouring heaven demon ancestor. Therefore, Wu Yu had to restrain this, even though the devouring heaven body really had this instinctive desire. He thought it would be great if he could take away these demon corpses, but in fact, after a period of time, the purple palace energy and blood and flesh essence on these corpses would be lost, and there would be no value in preserving them. Therefore, he could only leave here. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1018. This time he was going to go deep inland again. He wanted to go in just now, but he was attracted by this battle after a short while. As long as he didn't suffer a fatal crisis, Wu Yu was naturally willing to stay in this ancient demon world for a little longer before the pilgrimage of all nations. The more he knew, the better it would be for him. If he could find a good and safe place, it would be even better. His tiny body, which was a legend in the huge forest, could be said to have not caused any movement. Maybe the demons in this nearby area all participated in that battle, otherwise they wouldn't have wandered around for so long without seeing other creatures this time. Wu Yu was still very vigilant. While observing with his fiery eyes, he moved forward secretly, paying attention to every little movement around him. He was worried that there would be a strong man who could kill him with one blow. This time he spent 5 hours, which was considered to be really deep. Even if he flew to a very high sky, he could no longer see the sea. He was moving forward much faster this time. But in front of him, there was an endless forest of skyscrapers and endless forests. Countless trees were standing in this world, but no other creatures were seen. This made Wu Yu understand that the density of demons in this ancient demon world was obviously not comparable to the density of creatures in the world of Yama. So it wouldn't be so unsafe. It was probably a matter of luck last time, which made Wu Yu a little worried about this ancient demon world. After coming here this time, the situation was obviously much better. He was in this forest, continuing to shuttle forward. Hey, why are you still running around outside? Are you going to die? Suddenly, a voice appeared behind him, which really scared Wu Yu. How could there be other beings talking to him in this ancient demon world? Moreover, before he came here, he had been using his fiery eyes to observe the surroundings. He never expected that there would be beings that he had missed. At this moment, he suddenly turned around and saw that there was actually nothing behind him. Who is talking to me? Wu Yu was extremely alert. He was on the ground at this time, and all the large pieces of yellow leaves under his feet were piled up deep into several layers. Of course it's me, idiot. Wu Yu finally heard the source of the voice. It was under a dead leaf not far ahead. He lifted the dead leaf with his hand and found a small pink flower underneath. It looked like an ordinary flower. There were many such flowers in this forest, but Wu Yu never expected that this flower had become a demon. With his fiery eyes, he found that the realm of this small flower was not low. Wu Yu calmed down. He was a little surprised. He finally met a creature that seemed to be able to communicate in this ancient demon world. Although it was a demon made of plants, it was also a creature. Why are you so stunned? I'm asking you a question. Why do you dare to wander around in the killing period? Don't you want to die? Everyone is hiding. If you wander around like this, it will affect us, the flower said, a little unhappy. Killing period, Wu Yu didn't understand it, but he was very good at analysis. Judging from the words of the flower, the surrounding area, or possibly the ancient demon world, is now in a time called killing period. At this time, Wu Yu naturally thought of the previous battle, which was a bloodbath, and every demon had bloodshot eyes, and it seemed that they could not communicate at all. They all became like wild beasts, and only knew how to kill. Obviously, the killing period mentioned by the little flower was related to this. At this time, the little flower obviously thought that Wu Yu was a demon from the ancient demon world. Of course, maybe there are no people in this ancient demon world. Sure enough, when Wu Yu was a little stunned and didn't speak, the other party seemed to look at him and said, "Strange, why haven't I seen a demon like you? What kind of demon are you? I haven't heard of it." Wu Yu was depressed. He was a human, and he couldn't tell the other party that he was a human demon. Fortunately, the flower was quite talkative. She said to herself, "Looking at your appearance, you are probably a variant of some kind of monkey demon. You are really ugly. Monkey demons have sexy hair on their bodies, but you don't. You also have some strange things hanging on your body. You don't look very smart. No wonder you dare to walk around in the killing period. You'd better leave quickly and leave me quickly, so as not to cause me to be killed by those killing period demons." Her comments on herself were really, as expected, different races have different aesthetics. Wu Yu finally met someone who could talk, so of course he would not leave like that. So he was not polite. Among the Taoist arts he practiced in the Taoist demon hall, there was a technique called Dao Heart Control Soul Demon Art, which was specifically used to control other people's souls. He was confident that he could control the flower demon. After controlling it, it would be much easier for him to ask questions. So he performed the Dao Heart Control Soul Demon Art in front of the flower. This did not do any harm to the flower, and she would not suffer any loss after it was over. Wu Yu estimated that her realm was probably at the peak of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm, almost reaching the Yuan Shen waxing realm. It was not very difficult for him to control her. Under the Dao Heart Soul controlling demonic technique, the flower demon was indeed quickly subdued by Wu Yu. After Wu Yu was done, he hurriedly asked, "What is the killing period?" The flower demon said, "I don't know how many years ago, the killing period began to appear, and I don't know why it came about, but whenever the killing period comes, all the monsters above the Yuan Shen realm will lose their minds, fall into a state of madness and kill other creatures when they see them. The most obvious characteristic is that their eyes will turn blood red. They will not recover until the killing period is over and the rest period is over. But every time the killing period ends, not many powerful demons can survive." This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. I see. I didn't expect that this ancient demon world would have such a terrifying killing period. I don't know how this flower demon came into being, and apparently from what she meant, it seemed that there was no killing period a long, long time ago. If all the demons above the Yuan Shen realm fall into a crazy killing state, many people will really die in battle over time, just like today. But, what is the situation that caused this killing period? Wu Yu never expected that the ancient demon world would have such a perverted and unbelievable situation. Is this the law of heaven and earth, or is it caused by some powerful existence, or is it related to other things? This may be a mystery to the entire ancient demon world. However, Wu Yu could only say that such rules were too cruel. If everyone lost their minds, wouldn't they even kill their own relatives? If there is such a killing period, how many strong men will be left in the ancient demon world? The demons below the realm of Yuan Shen are undoubtedly the prey in the killing period. Their casualties may be greater, especially those that cannot be avoided at all. How long will it take for the killing period to arrive and how long will it last? Wu Yu asked again. The flower demon said, "Since ancient times, the killing period and the resting period have alternated with each other. During the killing period, this is hell. Only in the resting period can we survive. The killing period and the resting period alternate. The time of the killing period is completely unpredictable. It is long. Sometimes, it may be decades, sometimes it may be just a few days, so the rest period is the same. Because of this, every time the killing period comes, we can be a little unprepared. This killing period has lasted for 3 or 4 days. Years have passed, and it may end tomorrow, or it may take decades. Even if it ends, it may re-enter the killing period the next day. Anyway, there is no peace at any time. Such an uncertain time is also a huge problem. Obviously, with the existence of this killing period, the entire ancient demon world will be panicked. The strong will go crazy and kill each other, and the weak will be killed, so there is no peace for everyone. I finally realized that there were very few other creatures along the way. The powerful demons were all in a killing phase, hunting everywhere, while the weak ones must have been hiding and did not dare to go out, so naturally they could not be seen. This is why I initially thought that the ancient demons, the reason why the world is full of powerful monsters, is that more weak monsters are hiding or being killed. Now that he understands the killing period, Wu Yu wants to know more about the ancient demon world from the flower demon's mouth. After all, he still knows nothing about this place. Does the ancient demon world have power? Is there any most powerful existence? During the killing period, will this most powerful existence also fall into the killing period? The flower demon said, in the ancient demon world, there are many forces. The most powerful existence is the demon god. Generally, demon gods control big powers, and demon gods will not be affected by the killing period. This is what all of us practice. The reason for becoming a demon god, however, is that the subordinates and relatives of the demon god will be affected by the killing period, so it is rare to hear news from the demon god during the killing period. It is said that the demon god imprisons his subordinates and lets them spend their time alone. Killing period. Demon god. That must be an existence comparable to a god. I didn't expect that there would be a demon god in this ancient demon world. This shocked Wu Yu. Although there were immortals like the ancient emperor Xuanhuan in the world of Yanfu, Wu Yu was still surprised to hear that there were demon gods here, and the demon gods were not affected by the killing period. How many demon gods are there in the ancient demon world? Wu Yu quickly asked again. I'm not sure. There may be a few, maybe a dozen. I'm not sure about the seaside. There are 5 demon gods on the land side. This number is much larger than that of Yanfu world, but I don't know if there is one as powerful as the ancient emperor Xuanhuan. But even so, such a world with demons and gods is obviously much more powerful than the Jamfu world. If the two worlds could fight, Wu Yu estimated that the Jamfu world would definitely be defeated. He asked further. Suddenly, horribly, a death crisis comes. When he looked up, he saw a huge green-haired tiger with blood-eyed eyes in the distance, staring at him with an extremely violent look. Be careful, it's the Qingming tiger, the flower demon reminded. This one is not the same as the one that fought before. This one is currently intact, and the previous one is the strongest among the entire fighting group. It is the kind that can kill Wu Yu in an instant. At this moment, Wu Yu couldn't care about the flower demon anymore. He could only escape with a somersault cloud in an instant. My shoulder is feeling better today. Thank you for your understanding, and you can stick to it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1019. It's a pity, I guess I harmed this flower. Wu Yu was asking, but he didn't expect the green underworld tiger to suddenly appear. Originally, the flower was well hidden, and it probably had the ability to hide itself. If it turned into an ordinary flower, it would not be discovered. Wu Yu's connection with the Tao mind-controlling soul demon technique has been severed, which means that the flower demon is dead. This made Wu Yu feel very sorry. After all, he was the one who killed her. However, he just ran a step faster. If he had been slower, he would probably not be able to escape under the control of the green underworld tiger. The combat power of the green underworld tiger should be no worse than that of Xuanhuan, the commander of the Flame Dragon Legion, and during the killing period, he would never show mercy when fighting. Roar, although he fled far away, he could still hear the earth-shattering roar of the green underworld tiger. The demons here are slightly different from those in the Yanfu world. Since this place is called the Ancient Demon World, Wu Yu calls it the Ancient Demon. They are small in size and have no human form, but they still have a killing period. After escaping, Wu Yu pondered, it's the killing period now, and we don't know when this killing period will end. The demons above the Yuan Shen realm are killing like crazy in the whole world, while the demons below are either already killed or in hiding. It is obviously unrealistic for me to wait here for the killing period to pass and the rest period to arrive. Therefore, like other demons below the realm of soul, I still need to find some hidden places and have a place to hide. As I am here the stronghold of the ancient demon world. After learning a little more about the ancient demon world, Wu Yu's original plan did not change. I didn't expect that there would be so many demon gods in this ancient demon world. No wonder, the aura here is so rich, it should be normal for so many demon gods to be born. If there are so many demon gods, then there must be a lot of demons who have survived the 3 disasters. It is estimated that the number of top powerhouses will obviously be several times that of Yanfu world. Wu Yu felt that there were quite a lot of demons such as King Minghu. They were killing like crazy during the killing period, and there was no one knows how much blood was on their hands. Over in the capital of gods, we just have to wait for the pilgrimage of all nations to begin. Here, I'd better find a suitable place before the pilgrimage of all nations begins. He was very cautious. After learning about the killing period, his worry about the unknown had disappeared. He also knew what was going on with those demons, so he became a lot bolder and searched faster. Soon, those creatures below the Yuan Shen level can hide. Although they have been here for generations and know how to hide, I have sharp eyes. Maybe I can find their hiding place easier than the monsters in the killing period. If it is really safe. A hiding place can also be used as my base. Wu Yu thought so. Therefore, he only needs to find those hiding creatures. Those ancient demons are probably hiding in deeper places and will not be as conspicuous as the flower demon. This time, Wu Yu went deep again, and the speed of advancement was quite fast. Anyway, he was now completely in the land. Inside the land, there were many towering mountains, standing high like the backbone of the land. Numerous the mountain peaks tower directly into the clouds, and there are also deep valleys and even abyss. In such a dense jungle, there are definitely many hiding places, especially in the abyss. Moreover, above this peak, the spiritual energy is even richer, like water mist permeating the whole world. It is difficult to see things in the distance clearly. Whenever Wu Yu occasionally encounters an ancient demon with a killing period, he usually uses it first. The fiery eyes saw each other, and then quickly escaped. There must be dozens of killing period ancient demons encountered along the way. About 1/5 of them were completely incapable of being dealt with by Wu Yu. The remaining ones were not a problem to deal with. From this point of view, Wu Yu he has the ability to survive in this world, but he also feels that if he is unlucky and encounters an ancient demon of the same level as the Regent or even the Phoenix Lord, it will probably be a disaster. After all, the other party will not be polite at all. Only kills. Therefore, he will not forget that the ancient demon world in the killing period is an extremely dangerous place. He has been searching for a day, and now he has entered a valley formed by a break between 2 peaks. This valley is very deep, dark, and humid, and the ground is covered with a lot of moss, many of which are still at the fairy level, so this ancient demon world smelled strong of medicine everywhere. Wu Yu even encountered a wild fairy with 8 spiritual patterns along the way. Of course, he took it away easily. He was very light and looked around with his fiery eyes. It was very quiet under the deep valley. Those ancient monsters in the killing period rarely came to this place. They preferred to rush outside, where they could meet more other ancient monsters. Most of them, the ancient monsters in the killing period, are killing each other. He went deep into the ground, looked around, and found that this place was actually quite safe, with many places covered. He went deeper, and there were many underground rivers here. However, Wu Yu discovered that one of the rivers in the corner was slightly different and flowed a little slower. He dived into the river and found that the river was actually quite strong. Deep, there is a bottomless feeling. When he reached the depths of the underground mud and looked down, Wu Yu suddenly discovered that there seemed to be traces of a magic circle deep in the mud. This is the first magic circle he discovered in this ancient demon world. I thought the demons in the ancient demon world didn't understand what a magic circle was at all. After all, they only had magical powers and magic, and they couldn't even see a single Taoist weapon or prisoner. After discovering the magic circle, it was a little surprising for him. Of course, he still felt that the magic circle may not be popular in the ancient demon world. However, the magic circle in the heavenly demon emperor's mansion of the golden-eyed ancient demon is indeed very powerful. This shows that his guess is not absolute. He tore through the room and went deeper. About 100 feet deep in the mud, Wu Yu finally reached the sky above the magic circle. In fact, it looked like there was mud below, but the magic circle was actually under his feet, intercepting his way to go. This seems to be the 99-spin psychedelic array. It is not a very advanced array, but it can make people lose their way and wander around in it. If they are normal demons, it will be difficult to be trapped by this array, but, if the monster in the killing period loses its rationality and thinking ability, it may be trapped, and this location itself is very hidden, which means that this may be a place for other creatures to hide. Wu Yu is quite familiar with the 99-spin psychedelic array. It is an array that he has studied, mainly because he saw the most terrifying psychedelic array in the world in the Demon Emperor's mansion. After undergoing such training, the 99 psychedelic array in front of him looked like a maze played by a child. He did not hesitate and entered directly. There was still mud in front of him. In fact, if he went down at this time, he would flow to the bottom of the river. After he saw through it, he did the opposite and walked up. Of course, this is not that simple. When walking up, the direction is changing all the time. It will change 99 times in total. These 99 times, you must choose the right direction, and it is not just front, back, left, right, up and down, but there are countless directions, such as forward, sideways, and how far sideways, all of which are very particular. Firstly, Wu Yu has seen this magic circle, and secondly, Wu Yu has the netherworld technique, which is the nemesis of the magic circle. After using the netherworld technique, Wu Yu completely cracked the 99 directions and those killings. The monster at that time might not go in the right direction, run rampant, and finally rush out of the river bottom, but that was not the case for Wu Yu. He was very relaxed. It took about a quarter of an hour to pass through the river easily without causing the slightest movement. Magic circle, come inside the magic circle, this place is protected by the magic circle. As soon as he came in, he discovered that there were many creatures here, and they were all below the realm of the soul. They could stay awake during the killing period, and it was obvious that they were hiding in this place because of the killing period. Inside this array is a simple and bright cave. Within the cave, there are a large number of small caves, like rooms. In the center of this cave is a huge gem, just like the sun keeping the cave light and warm. This is a treasure with 8 spiritual lines, called Blazing Sun Bright Stone, which is a good material for making Taoist tools. When Wu Yu appeared here, the aboriginal people in this cave discovered him immediately. For them, this was impossible, so all the ancient demons were startled and started to scream for a while. The whole cave was miserable and in chaos, and there were cries, probably because the killer outside broke in. Don't worry, I'm not a demon who has lost his mind and wants to kill you. I'm just avoiding those existences and hiding here. I won't hurt you. Wu Yu's voice was loud and straight to the point, and he made his purpose clear. After hearing Wu Yu's words, the panicked ancient demons finally poked their heads out of the small caves and looked at Wu Yu tremblingly. Seeing their tiger-like appearance, Wu Yu was immediately happy. It turned out to be hundreds of cute and beautiful little kittens, monsters. Madman will post something very important on the WeChat public account soon. I hope everyone will pay attention to the public account Feng Qingyang and click on the history to take a look. Those who have followed it can now view it. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 1020. Unexpectedly, all the cats hidden in the 99 psychedelic array were cat demons, and they all looked relatively young, not yet adults, and not too big. In the past, in the Suqiao Palace, the concubines loved to raise cats, especially some cute and charming varieties, which were more attractive. The size of these little kittens was similar to those of pet cats. Of course, these are all cat demons. Although they have not reached the realm of Yuan Shen, considering their age, it is already very good to have reached this stage. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Under the illumination of the scorching sun and bright stone, the cave was very warm, just like basking in the sun during the day. When Wu Yu came in, these little kittens were sleeping lazily. They were all startled at first, but fortunately they heard Wu Yu's voice and knew that he was not a threat, so the cat demons felt a little relieved. At this time, Wu Yu took a closer look at these cat demons who stared at him with big eyes and small eyes. They were all little cats with tiger heads and tiger brains. They looked at him with confused eyes, curious and a little scared, so his whole body was tense, and the types and colors were still different. There are quite a few, some have pure white hair, thicker hair, and blue eyes, while others have shorter hair, look stronger, and have tails raised high. It's hard to find two that look exactly the same. There are also some interesting patterns, such as an emerald green kitten whose hair looks like a forest map if you look closely. Some kittens have blonde hair all over their bodies, especially the hair on their necks, which looks like a little male lion. Some have leopard patterns and a pair of dark red eyes. They look very agile and smart. Not weak either. When Wu Yu came in, many of them were ready to attack. Who are you? How did you break in? For a moment, the kitten demons huddled together warily, staring at Wu Yu, and then asked each one a question. This is a good place to hide. The magic circle outside has a certain foundation and can be strengthened in a short time. In this case, we must communicate well with these little monsters. Just as he was thinking this, among the group of kittens, a cat demon appeared with shiny black hair and a crescent moon pattern on its forehead. It looked particularly noble and elegant. Compared with other kittens, this cat demon was slightly larger. 1 point, he is basically the strongest among this group, reaching the 10th level of Zifukanghai realm, and it seems that he is deliberately controlling himself and does not want to advance to the Yuan Shen transformation realm, at least not before the end of the killing period. Reach the realm of soul transformation. Sister Yu, there is something here that I don't know what it is. But he doesn't seem to be demonized, but how could he come into our place? The kitten demons were talking non-stop around the black cat, because these types of demons had never appeared in the world of Jambu, so Wu Yu didn't know what kind of demons they were. What kind of monster are you? Why do you come to us? Seeing that Wu Yu was quite kind, Sister Yu supported staying vigilant and asked Wu Yu. The demons in this ancient demon world probably didn't know that besides demons, there were creatures like humans. Wu Yu couldn't do anything about it, so he directly used the immortal ape transformation. When his body transformed into a golden immortal ape, Xiao Yu only then did the cat demon see it. It turns out to be an ape demon. Ape demon, your hair is quite nice. Why does it have to look like that naked just now? I don't know, I don't know. Maybe there is something wrong with this guy's brain. The kittens were childish and stared at Wu Yu curiously, daring to say anything. My name is Wu Yu. What about you? Wu Yu wanted to have a little communication with them. The black cat seemed to have no interest in the name Wu Yu. She said, Monkey demon, you didn't tell me just now, what is your purpose? This is our cat demon's territory. She obviously wanted Wu Yu to leave as soon as possible. Wu Yu didn't bother and went straight to the point, saying, to be honest, it's a killing period outside and it's very dangerous. I'm looking for a hiding place. I searched for a long time before I found out about this place. Because I'm a little proficient in magic circles. So I came in. I know this is your territory, but it's too dangerous outside, so I thought you could stay here and just give me a small area to allow me to survive this killing period safely. In exchange, I can expand the capabilities of your magic circle several times. Of course, I will definitely be in retreat at ordinary times and will not disturb you at all. The kitten demons shook their heads, listened to Wu Yu's words, and then all looked at Sister Yu, obviously waiting for Sister Yu to make a decision. Their abilities were very good in the Jambu world, but their current wisdom is still too low. After hearing this, Black Cat looked serious and said, I didn't expect you to be one of those rare monsters who has studied magic circles. You can come in here without causing any disturbance. You are really powerful in this regard, but, here it's our territory, and we don't know if you have any evil intentions towards us, so we still can't keep you. After all, who knows whether you are a good person or a bad person, who knows whether you want to destroy our magic circle or not. As for strengthening, our 99 spin psychedelic array is passed down from our ancestors from ancient times and is specially used to preserve the descendants and blood of the clan during the killing period. How can you possibly be able to strengthen it? Of course, they are justified in doubting themselves. Big bad guy, get out quickly, or our sister Yu will be rude. Yes, it hurts to be beaten by her. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. The kittens purred and looked at Wu Yu pretending to be fierce. During the killing period, as long as they don't encounter that kind of demonized demon with red eyes, they will not be their opponent. Wu Yu could only laugh. Seeing that the other party was wary, he must be afraid that he would use some means secretly. Of course, when he came here, he did not need to ask for the other party's consent. At this moment, he suddenly stretched out his hand, and a huge suction force attracted the black cat to him. Wu Yu stood in front of her. When the other party was a little shocked, he smiled and said, since you suspect that I am planning something, then, I will give you a chance to attack me as much as you want, and I won't fight back. If you hurt me, or if there are any wounds on my body, I will leave here immediately. The swallowing palm just now shocked Sister Yu enough. When Wu Yu said these words again, the other party thought that she had heard wrong. She sneered and said, you have such no vision, how dare you use this method, come to humiliate me. Since you took action first and it was clearly to our disadvantage, then don't blame me for being rude. Go ahead, if you scratch me a little bit, I'll lose, Wu Yu said with a smile. The little kitten seemed to have heard a fantasy. At this time, they were all staring at Wu Yu and their sister Yu, and some were gearing up to get ready to do something. Come on, too. If anyone can scratch my skin, I'll leave immediately, Wu Yu said to the group of little guys. Wow! The little kittens were a little timid at first, but there were still a few brave enough to come forward, and more of them came forward. I don't know how high the sky is, the sister Yu snorted coldly. She acted directly as if facing a formidable enemy. Although this kind of monsters are indeed small in body, as long as they are in the same realm as the monsters in the Jambu world, they are of the same level. It doesn't matter whether the body is huge or not. When this black cat moves its hands, its magical power is still quite astonishing. Of course, it is not very possible to break Wu Yu's indestructible body of the sixth realm Heavenly Lord King Buddha. Ever since, a group of cat demons could be seen, going up and down, attacking Wu Yu in various ways, creating magical powers in many fields, trapping Wu Yu in various areas such as wind, fire, water, earth, etc., burning him with fire, freezing him with ice. They were blown by the strong wind, bitten with claws and fangs, and all kinds of methods were used, but when Wu Yu still held his arms, intact, and looked at these kitten monsters with a smile, they were in despair, especially that sister. Yu, she was even more shocked. She has a lot of confidence in herself, which is why she stays here and is assigned by the elders to protect the younger ones. Generally speaking, as long as they are not demonized demons in the killing period, they are unlikely to be hers. Opponent, she is suppressed in the realm of Zifu and has not condensed her soul for many years. However, the appearance of Wu Yu overturned the world view. Even when she exhausted her magical powers, she still could not break Wu Yu even a bit. However, Wu Yu was strangely fast. He reached out his hand and pinched the flesh on the back of her neck in an instant, pulling her away. Hanging in front of her, the seemingly ordinary strength sealed her, making her unable to move at the moment, just like a pet cat. It's over, Sister Yu is going to be killed by him. Wow, it's so scary, run away. The little milk cat demons panicked and fled in all directions, but the cave was only so big, so they were as anxious as ants on a hot pot. They bumped into each other, and some even bumped into each other, and then cried. Get up, huddle pitifully, and hide in the corner. You dare to kill me? Our Moon Shadow Cat clan, and all the cat demons, will not let you go. That Sister Yu glared at Wu Yu fiercely. It turned out that she was the Moon Shadow Cat. Wu Yu smiled innocently. He loosened his grip and let the other person go. He smiled and said, Don't worry, I told you before that I won't hurt you or affect you. I just want to find a peaceful place, that's all. It's too time-consuming to set up the magic circle by yourself. You are here just right. Of course, the purpose of showing you my strength is not to bully you or drive you away, but to tell you that I can't possibly have any conspiracy against you. Because if I really want to deal with you, I don't need any conspiracy at all, I just do it directly. Anyway, what I mean is that I want to stay with you, and you can't drive me away anyway. In addition, I will strengthen the magic circle. Of course, if there is danger, I might be able to protect you. As the first batch of friends in the ancient demon world, Wu Yu thought they were quite cute. To read novels without anti-theft chapters, please use the search engine to search for the keyword Yunlig. You can read all kinds of novels.